The second one is one of the most fun experiences I had in a theater, like, because I think I was like probably like 18 or 19 when it came out, and like I was just getting used to seeing rated R movies by myself and stuff, and it was just a fun experience, and I remember being pretty scared of seeing that movie overall.
If you do try to play games with it, that's inviting it in.
Drive-by movies, you're watching
Fresh releases.
My name's Blaze.
And my name is James.
And this week we're talking the brand new to Paramount Plus, Paranormal Activity, Next of Kin.
Oh my God.
Are you sure about this?
I have to know.
Next of Kin is now the 7th movie in the Paranormal Activity franchise, and it's about Margot, a young woman who was abandoned by her mother as a baby, and she travels to a secluded Amish community with a documentary film crew seeking answers about her mother and extended family. Paranormal Activity is the franchise that really caught the world off storm, I'd say. One of the lowest budget movies of all time, and like highest grossing just profit. Like I think for a while Blair Witch was one of the leaders on that, and not sure what movie has the lead on it currently, but I would not be surprised if it is Paranormal Activity in terms of net profit and stuff. But just the idea that the franchise was able to make a new movie every year was insane and stuff. For 5 straight years we go. Actually no, I think it was 6 years actually, because I always forget about that spin-off called The Marked Ones as well. But even though it wasn't technically part of the direct franchise movies and stuff, but it's been so long. It feels like it's been so long actually. I forgot about this franchise, honestly. I was actually pretty stoked about it, but thought wise, what did you think about it, Blaze?
So I honestly think I enjoyed this film, but then also at the same time there's a lot of issues, I guess, just with I don't know if it's not necessarily just this franchise, but I guess it's film as a whole. Because you can clearly tell that this film is an original movie that they just slapped the Paranormal Activity branding on. So it does not really feel authentic in that sense. It doesn't feel like an authentic Paranormal Activity movie. But as a found footage horror movie, this movie is actually really fun. And it's not the best movie ever made or anything, or even the best horror movie. We've seen plenty of great ones this year. But I thought it was fun for what it was. I feel it's been a while since I've watched a found footage horror movie, so I liked seeing. Well, I guess we watched VHS recently, but that's I put that in a different camp because it's more of an anthology. But it's first found footage horror movie that I've watched, I feel in a while, besides that one.
Yeah. For me, I personally just didn't really like this movie at all, honestly. I kind of liked the first half a lot. I liked the setup and stuff, and it developing the Amish community and having a legitimate reason to be filming everything. I understood in the first one what they were doing and stuff, a boyfriend he's oh, my girlfriend's always seeing stuff, let's just see if I happen to record anything. And it doesn't feel over the top. He kind of just leaves the camera by their bed overnight and stuff. It didn't feel over the top editing and stuff. And my problem with this one was it feels too much like a movie. And there are some shots also where it is actual just movie shots and kind of has nothing to do with the found footage documentary that they're trying to get footage for. But I did like the reasoning behind it though, for them to be filming and stuff. That's one of the things that used to drive me crazy about found footage movies. Do you actually have a legitimate reason to be filming all this stuff? And there are a lot of moments in this where I was just I wasn't buying it and stuff. I tried to let it slide, but for this movie it was just I'm not buying it for this one. And it was just tripping me out how little it has to do with the entire franchise, and really it has nothing to do with it. I was wondering, I was this is probably just an original script that Christopher Landon wrote, but just slapped the title on top of, or he rewrote it. Christopher Landon is a guy who I've been actually enjoying his work for the past few years, and he didn't direct the movie. The director of the movie is William Eubank, who did Underwater as well as The Signal. But it was written by Christopher Landon, who started out in the Paranormal Activity movies, but has gone on to do like Happy Death Day and Freaky and stuff, movies that I've actually enjoyed. So I thought this movie should have been good, but just personally didn't work for me.
Yeah, I thought it was like, I thought it was just fine. Like, it wasn't my favorite movie, but I'm like, it kind of reminded me of like The Last Exorcism, and like kind of when you had all those like found footage movies coming out, like at that time around Paranormal Activity 1, 2, and even 3, where there was some really good found footage movies. And then the market got super oversaturated with found footage movies, and they all kind of started blending together and just sucking generally because all the tropes were there and the stories weren't really even that original anymore. And I'm trying to think, there was this Spanish movie, I forget what it was called, but it was like a Spanish found footage horror movie that was kind of at the beginning of that craze, and it was just so bad. Like, it's one that like gets a lot of acclaim, but I remember watching it, I was just like, this film sucked. Like, it was literally just 90% of someone running through the forest, and like it's just blurry ass trees. It was like the whole time. Anyways, like I felt like this at least didn't feel like one of those like total cash in found footage movies. I felt like it tried a little bit more with the story, the fact that you have these filmmakers that kind of get roped into this situation, and it obviously becomes a lot more sinister. And I just kind of like those elements, like, but when it comes to like weighing this in as like a Paranormal Activity movie, obviously it's not going to hit the mark. Like we've already talked about how this literally, they just slapped the title onto this. And I think really that, for me, the problem there is like, that's a greater problem. Like, we couldn't just make Next of Kin because no one's going to watch that. We need like brand loyalty, brand awareness. People need to know, oh, this is a Paranormal Activity movie, but it's not. So like, you just slapped it on there, and you just, it's basically false advertising, kind of. Which I'm sure there's some people that did go out and watch this movie because it's a Paranormal Activity movie, but if anyone's gonna be disappointed, it would be those people, because like, this has nothing to do with the other films in the series. And I looked up, there is a Paranormal Activity movie already coming out next year. I don't know if it was already filmed, but that is, it's Paranormal Activity 8, and that's still part of the same timeline that we know and love, I guess. But yeah, I think I remember the last Paranormal Activity movie I saw was Ghost Dimension. I feel like I saw it with you, like in theaters or something.
Yes, it was opened by Slash coming in and be like, hey, I really like this franchise, and I'm excited for the movie. Fun fact, we saw like a special sneak screening in LA for the 5th one, or I believe that's the 5th movie in the timeline. And honestly, I don't remember too much. I just remember a portal behind a painting in that movie, and I just remember absolutely hating that movie, and I don't remember how it connected to the entire franchise, honestly.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, I don't really remember much about the story. I do remember like thinking about it now, I'm actually kind of fondly thinking about the experience of seeing it in a theater, and then also like the fact that it was like the first 3D like Paranormal Activity, and I kind of like the 3D effects thinking about it right now. But I think if I transported myself back into the theater, I probably hated the 3D at the time, you know. But thinking about it now, I can't remember the movie at all. I'm just like, oh, that was kind of cool that they did something different with it. But I still think my favorite Paranormal Activity has to be the 3rd one.
Yeah, and for me, it's like, it's probably still the first one. I think the second one is one of the most fun experiences I had in a theater, like, because I think I was like probably like 18 or 19 when it came out, and like I was just getting used to seeing rated R movies by myself and stuff, and it was just a fun experience, and I remember being pretty scared of seeing that movie overall. But yeah, I'll give this franchise credit for the most part, as well as this movie too. I watched it in broad daylight, and I was pretty creeped out. Like, I'm pissed off just because like it's jump scares that got me, like over the top loud sounds that like would not happen in real life, made me jump and stuff. And like, like I'm not looking forward to going to bed tonight, like after watching it and stuff. I'm just like, oh man, like these movies are so dumb, but they freak me out for whatever reason. I'll give them credit for building that tension, like making you expecting something, but nothing happens, and then like still catching you off guard, even though you're like ready for it and stuff. Like, always give like all these movies kind of credit for that because they all get me in that way, and this one did as well too. But just like it was just a little too much, especially with like some weird slow motion shots in this movie and some crazy gore. Like the gore was fun, but I was just like, what is up with the slow motion shot? And just the idea that like it kind of ended similar to like The Last Exorcism, as well as like Paranormal Activity 3 with like a cult sequence. And like, don't want to spoil too much, but like also there's like a creepy thing that was very reminiscent of Wreck. And I liked the overall images of it, but just like I was just like, what is this? Like, this does not feel like Paranormal Activity. There's nothing ghost really going on. It's literally just like they're trying to summon the same demon that's been in every movie technically, but like there's this also weird creature that like I know what it is, but I don't want to spoil it and stuff. But just like it was very reminiscent of the Wreck movies.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you have Paramount Plus, the barren wasteland, digital wasteland that is Paramount Plus, and you're looking for something to watch, this is probably one of your only options. So you'll probably like at least enjoy the fact that you have an option, or what you think might be an option, and it's Paranormal Activity Next of Kin. But other than that, there's no reason to subscribe to the service to go check out this movie, even if you're the most diehard Paranormal Activity fan, because this isn't like totally related to the other films. If you just like random horror movies, this might kind of more fill your boat. So I kind of recommend checking it out. But now that like the ship has sailed, obviously on Halloween this year, if you're not really a horror fan, like you're probably it's just easier to skip this film. So
yeah, overall, yeah. I'd say this movie just should have been called Next of Kin. That's a pretty cool title and stuff, but just like when I heard that, I was like, what does this have to do with Paranormal Activity though? And there's nothing. Just go in expecting just a movie on its own, because really this movie should just be called Next of Kin. Has nothing to do with like ghosts or any of the Katie character from the original movies. It's just like a little bit of like similar things, but yeah, Paramount Plus, like I assume you only have it for SpongeBob or like Jersey Shore or something like that. But bonus, you got this movie on there too. So if you want to check out the movie, do that. Come back here, leave a comment letting us know what you thought about it. Be sure to do that because it really helps us out.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button. You can hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And also, if you can't get enough of us here on YouTube, be sure to check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Catch all of our links down below in the description box. Anyways, that'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video of fresh releases.